Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while, hasn't it? So I decided to make this reading vlog, or series vlog, if you will, because it's a series I feel like I'm going to be really invested in. And I have already put a lot of investment into this series, to be quite frank. And we're here to read the Legacy of God series by Rena Kent. So this is a dark romance series that follows the heathens and their prospective partners. So there's a lot of dark themes, dark elements. So if you're going to read this series, please look at trigger warnings, do all the stuff to keep yourself safe and keep yourself well. I don't really have any triggers or anything, so that I know of anyway. I guess we'll see. But yeah, so we'll talk about the books real quick. So I actually own all of them, which is great. The first book is God of Malice. This follows Killian and Glenn. And then we have God of Pain, and this follows Creighton and Annika. And then we have God of Wrath, and this follows Cecily and Jeremy. And then we have God of Ruin, and this follows Mia and Landon. I'm very interested in this one. And then I can't even talk about this book without being so gay. It's God of Fury, which follows Nico and Brandon. We'll talk about this book momentarily, but this is the next one. And then the last one in the series is God of War, and this follows Eli and Ava. And there's also kind of a spin-off series that's all MM romance, I believe. And it's called I forget what the series is called, but the first book is Kiss the Villain. And this book follows Caden and Garrison. Sorry, it's Gareth. So I have read this one as well. I gave this one 3 stars. I think I like it more on a reread, but I read this right after reading God of Fury, and that was a big mistake on my part, because God of Fury is a masterpiece. And, oh my God. Okay, so this is the spin-off series, but it is connected. So we'll talk about this book, I guess, at some point in this vlog, but I just want to go ahead and mention that. So like I said, I had actually started this series, as you can tell, and you can read all of these standalones. They are just interconnected standalones, but the one that I always heard the most about was God of Fury. And like I said, this is the one following Brandon and Nikolai. And this is one of my new favorite books of all time. This book just spoke to me on such an intimate level that not a lot of books have done. The only thing I can compare this to is like A Court of Silver Flames and Kingdom of Ash, in terms of like how emotionally invested I got into those characters. Not a lot, or Zodiac Academy, like things of that nature have touched me in the same way. I read this in March. It's now June. I reread it 6 times. I did. I have, and I plan to reread it as many times as I possibly can in this lifetime. The audiobook, let me just talk about, is incredible. Shane East is Brandon, and he's amazing. And then Teddy Hamilton as Nico. Excuse me, literally, excuse me, but their love for each other is gut-wrenching and the best way. No, but their love for each other is gut-wrenching in the best possible way. I go weak at the knees for them. Like, this is my favorite, by far, it's my favorite MM romance I've ever read. But it's up there as one of my favorite romances. And it's not going to be ever for everyone. It is a dark romance at the end of the day. But compared to like, and we'll talk about this here in a second because I am actually about halfway through God of Malice. This is a lot more dark than this. Like I even Kiss the Villain was also very dark. So like going into this book with this expectation was like very interesting because like at some points this film feels more like a rom-com in a lot of aspects because Nikolai is just so delightful. I am obsessed with him so much. And yeah, like just his obsession with Brandon just makes me gag. Like if my future partner, I need a Nikolai level of intensity or nothing, honestly. Like I'm a passionate person. I need passion and there's nothing more passionate than this. And there are darker themes for sure because Brandon goes through a lot of his own issues and Nikolai has a lot of issues. But yeah, I'm just obsessed with this book. It's everything to me. I might go ahead and reread it along with the context of the rest of the series. Who are we kidding? I'm definitely going to. But this is one of my new favorite books of all time. I love it so much. The air is coming on, of course. And Nikolai and Brandon are everything to me. So with that being said, let's talk about God of Malice. So this is following Killian Carson and Glendon King. And actually Brandon, who's in God of Fury, it's his little sister. So she's our introduction to this world and to this series. And I am really enjoying it so far. Killian is a lot more, this is a lot darker than God of Fury. So already halfway through, we've ran into a lot of dark things, which was very surprising because we do see them in God of Fury, and they're definitely not like enemies in that. So, and all of this is going on around the same time in the entire series. So it's just really interesting to go to their roots because like they're not starting on the best of terms, and that's putting it lightly. The first chapter alone, what are we even reading? Like Killian is a legit psycho, and I knew that going into it. But reading it is just a whole other experience. Like, he is legit psycho. Like, psychotic. You want to talk about a dark romance hero? I'm using that term very lightly. But there's a lot. Let me just say there's a lot. But yeah, so we're still in their enemy phase. I'm trying to see how far I am. I think I'm maybe about 120 pages in. So yeah, we still got quite a ways to go, but I am enjoying myself. It's just a lot darker than I was anticipating. And I do know that this is the darkest one in the series from what I've heard. So I'm not that worried about it because I am very excited to keep going. But yeah, so that's the update. I'm very much enjoying myself, but it's going to be hard to top God of Fury, and I just don't think it's going to. And I'm not expecting it to either. Like, that's not its purpose. So I'm going to go back to reading this, and I will let you guys have an update when I'm ready to talk to you. So it is currently the next day. I wanted to go ahead and talk about God of Malice because I have finished it this morning. And I want to talk about it. So I did end up giving this 3 stars. I really enjoyed myself with this book. There are darker aspects to this one for sure. But that's not necessarily the issue I had with it, because obviously it's a dark romance. I know what I'm getting myself into. But Killian himself is like a psychopath. Well, I guess I don't want. I think he's a psychopath. I think that's what he is diagnosed with in this book. But because of that, he doesn't really have a grasp on human emotions, which sometimes can work in a story. But for whatever reason, I just could not connect to Killian at all, really, in this book. I didn't vibe with his and Glenn's relationship very much. Yeah, that's kind of what it kind of comes down to. At the end of the day, it's a romance, and I need to really be invested in the romance for me to really love a book. And this was just fine. I just said, Killian was not a very likable love interest for me, and Glenn herself was just kind of boring. I didn't really buy her story much at all. But I did think this was an entertaining story, and I really liked their ending. Well, did I? I don't know. I'm still kind of like forming my opinions about this book, but overall, I had a fun time with it, but it was not my favorite. And yeah, so I just gave it 3 stars. And then I decided to go ahead, and you've already seen me start this book, is God of Pain, which is book 2 in the series. And this follows Creighton and Annika. And I am actually at the very end of this. I'm like 2 hours away from the end, so I'm still reading it right now. And this is a vast improvement over God of Malice, in my opinion. I think Creighton is a much more interesting and dynamic character than Killian, and I really like Annika too. Like, she is like, she reminds me of myself in terms of like her interests, and just the way she doesn't like conflict. I very much am a non-confrontational person, so I really enjoy her. And like I said, Creighton is just a very dynamic person. He kind of has like the closed off tendencies that all of these guys have in this series, but I don't know, there's just something extra about him where I truly do think that he's coming out of his shell. And I really like his relationship with Annika. Like, I'm close to the end of this book, and I don't know how they're gonna come back from this. Like, honestly, I'm really enjoying this. It's like sitting at a 4-star for me right now. And yeah, so I'm really enjoying this book. It's not gonna be a 5-star. I can already tell you that. I'm having a hard time comparing all of these books to God of Fury, because God of Fury is just so perfect and so incredible. I don't know how any of these other books are gonna compare, and so far they're just not, which is okay. It happens. You know, I'm not gonna fault the books for that, because it is the 5th book in the series, so Rena Kent had time to develop her writing for this series, and it paid off beautifully, because I cannot wait to get to that book. That's my favorite part about reading both of these books, is all the Nikolai and Brandon scenes. I'm just eating them up. Even though I have seen most of these interactions already, but I just am eating it up, and I love them so much. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go back to reading the rest of this book, and I will let you guys know what my final thoughts are. But so far, this is a big improvement over this one. So that's it. Okay, sorry about the horrible lighting and angle, but this is what we're working with. But I just finished God of Pain. This is the Kindle version, and I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. It just didn't feel like a 5-star to me, but I really enjoyed myself. Things got super dramatic in like the last 25% of this book. Like, things happened in this that I was not anticipating, and just like the fallout of that was just crazy to me. But again, like, I really liked Creighton, and I really liked Annika. Yeah, their whole dynamic was very interesting to read. It felt in some ways like 50 Shades of Grey. And yeah, just in like, I don't know, I feel like this might have been partially inspired by 50 Shades of Grey. I think this is much better than 50 Shades of Grey. I just feel like Creighton was a more rounded character than Christian, but alas, I really enjoyed myself. And I'm so excited to read the next one, which is Jeremy and Cecily's book. I feel like I'm really gonna love Cecily. I've liked her very much in these two books I've read. We only get like little pieces of these side characters, but I recognize them obviously from God of Fury, and just getting to know them a little bit more has been a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to keep going, and I'm probably not going to start tonight because I need to read some of my other book, but I'm sad. I'm very excited. So yeah, I'm having such a fun time with this series though. Okay, so I'm back for another update, and we are now in God of Wrath, which is the third book in the series. I'm almost done with this one, but I wanted to go ahead and check in. I am loving this one. Oh my God. Jeremy Volkov. Yeah. Which is so surprising because I was not anticipating loving him this much, but I do. Like, he's unhinged in a completely different way than Creighton or Killian. But the books are just getting better as they go. In terms of starting this vlog, because God of Fury, I just know God of Fury is not going to be topped. And I'm sorry, I have to compare every book in the series to God of Fury because that is my basis for, or my foundation for my feelings on this series. But I'm very much loving this one. This one's feeling like a 4.5 star right now. I'm really enjoying myself. I love Cecily. I think she's a great character. And I think my only gripe about this one is this one feels a lot less cohesive, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word, but like there's a lot of things going on that don't feel like they're totally connected. But that could be just a me thing. But no matter, I am loving this book a lot. This is like why I love dark romance, is because like things are so crazy and intense, and I'm just having the best time with it. Like, when it comes to my favorite types of romances are ones that are full of passion and lots of big feelings, and I feel like you don't really get them in normal contemporary romances like you do in dark romance, because there's usually a lot of dark things happening that force the characters to have to feel big, you know? And I think this is a great example of that happening. So I'm very much loving this. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Like, it's just, I'm having the best time still, and I will definitely check in with you guys once I'm done with the book. So it is a little later in the evening, actually a couple hours later, I guess. But I just finished God of Wrath, and I think I'm gonna give this like a 4.5 stars, because I definitely liked it more than God of Pain, which I gave 4 stars. So, but it's not up to the level of God of Fury, which is like a 6 star. So we're going with a 4.5 for this. I really liked it. Something that I'm really kind of getting, I don't know if annoyed is the right word, but by the time we get to like the 90% mark of the book, like there's usually a big plot point that happens, and I kind of wish we had more time to really sit with some of these like darker plot points that happen, because this is something that happens in all the other books as well, even in God of Fury. But it's just like the thing about these books is a lot of the time they do feel very copy and paste, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like there's a formula here and I really like the formula. Like it's super fun to read, but they're not each super unique. Like there's definitely differences, of course, but they're not totally different from each other. But whatever, it's fine. Like I really like Jeremy and I really like Cecily. Their communication skills kind of suck, but I think, you know, by the time we get to the end, like they've really grown as people, they've really grown as a couple, and that was really nice to see. But yeah, their communication, actually everyone's communication in this series is not great. But alas, it was a fun time. I enjoyed this one quite a bit. I think so far I'll do a full ranking at the end of the video, but right now it's God of Fury, God of Wrath, God of Pain, and then God of Malice is still at the bottom. So yeah, and I am very excited to start, well, I don't know if excited is the right word, to start God of Ruin. This is the one that's going to follow Landon. And Landon is a very interesting character in that he's not a good person. Like all the times I've read about him, especially in God of Fury, he's not very likable. I'm hoping this book might make me like him more, but I'm a little nervous about that. However, I am excited that the audiobooks are now going back to duet style, because up until this point it's been like your typical audiobook style where like the male narrator has to do female voices, and then, you know, the female narrator has to do male voices, and it just, there's a huge disconnect there. I wish every audiobook had the duet style, because I just feel like it makes the story a lot more engaging. But yeah, so this is the book that's going to follow Landon and also Mia, Nikolai's sister. And I know these characters fairly well, or well enough, from God of Fury, because, you know, Brandon's his twin brother and Nikolai is Mia's older brother, so we do see them and interact with them in that book. So it'll be nice to see like what's going on behind the scenes in terms of Landon and Mia's relationship. But yeah, I'm pretty pumped to continue on with this series. I'm having the best time with it. But if I'm being completely honest, like I'm just so excited to reread God of Fury, even though I literally just reread it like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Like I cannot get enough of that book. And I'll talk about like my feelings on the book more once we get to that part of the video, because of course I'm definitely going to be reading it for this video, because how can I not? But yeah, like that book is just everything to me, and I'm so excited to get like the other half, because I feel like this book and God of Fury is gonna interconnect quite a bit. So it'll be nice to get the other side of this storyline. But yeah, so I'm excited. Still having a great time with this series, and I'll let you guys know how this book's going when I start it tomorrow. So I'll see you then. All right, I'm here with a check-in for God of Ruin. I'm 70% of the way through. And this is the one that's following Landon and Mia. Landon is Brandon and Glenn's brother, and Mia is Nikolai's little sister. And I was kind of worried going into this one, because Landon he's a pain in the ass. And that's putting it very lightly. He causes a lot of problems in this series, especially in God of Fury. But I'm loving this one. Like Landon he's really surprised me I think he's taken the number 2 spot, honestly. I feel like there's a lot more going on in his head, which I don't know how to explain this. He's going on more of like a journey emotionally than any of the other guys have been so far. Um, and I'm just really loving that development going on. And it's actually pretty entertaining because, like, he is a narcissist. He doesn't know how to feel emotions, and he's trying to learn how to feel these emotions. And it's kind of entertaining and it's really sweet. And I really like Mia. Mia is probably my favorite female character in this series so far. Um, she's just very smart and very intuitive. She's a mute, so she doesn't speak, and we learn why in here. And I don't know, just like the way she stands up for herself against Landon is very different than any of the other girls have with their perspective love interests. And yeah, I'm just really enjoying this one. This one is probably my second favorite. These books just get better and better as I keep going. But again, nothing's gonna top God of Fury. Like, I am gonna reread that for this vlog because any excuse to read that book, I'm going to do it. But like I was saying before, like how this is like the other half of the story going on in God of Fury. That is definitely true. And so I'm really enjoying that aspect of this book as well. My only critique, well, not my only critique, but the biggest critique I have with this series so far, and this is going to be something that I will probably continue to see, is that these books are very repetitive. They follow the same beats, they follow the same structure for sure. The phrases are exactly the same, and they're kind of getting tedious because because I am reading these books back to back, so it is partly me. But I feel like some of these writing choices and probably could have been edited a little bit better, or it's just some different word choices, because it makes all the characters not feel distinct enough to me. And that is a popular complaint that I've heard, and it is definitely true. But I am still really having a fun time. I'm enjoying myself immensely, and I'm very excited to keep going. So yeah, I'll let you guys know my thoughts after I finish the book. But yeah, I'm having a great time. So I'm gonna get back to reading. All right, so I just finished God of Ruin. Call me surprised. I'm giving it 5 stars. I am. And it's so funny. I thought this would be the book that I would not care that much about. But honestly, like, Mia and Landon's relationship was so much more believable to me than any of the other ones, excluding Nico and Bran, clearly. But no, I just loved their dynamic so much. I feel like the conflict at the end was a little, like, it just kind of came out of nowhere, really. Like, I didn't really feel like any of that was foreshadowed. I mean, it was, but whatever, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. Like, I read these romance books because of the romance, clearly. But yeah, I loved this book. It hit the same beats as all the other books, like I was talking about before, but I really liked it. I loved it, actually. Each book just gets better and better. But now, like, I can't believe I've read this book 7 times or 6 times. This will be the 7th one. And I'm just as giddy to start it tomorrow. And that's God of Fury, of course. Probably one of my new favorite books of all time. Definitely my favorite romance book I've ever read. I'm very excited. even though I just reread it a couple weeks ago. But yeah, so God of Ruin was fantastic. So I'm very excited to keep going. And I don't know what else to say. Landon was wonderful. What can I say? Like, watching him, he had the most character development out of all the boys so far. So I really enjoyed watching that part or reading that part of this story. But yeah, so 5 stars, really loved it. And I will be starting God of Fury tomorrow. And I will have a lot to say about that book, I'm sure. So, okay. I will see you guys in the next update. Good night. Good morning, everyone. I'm on my way to work. I have about a 25 minute drive. I'm on a back road, so I'm not on a main road, so I'm going to update you guys real quick. But like I said, I finished God of Ruin last night. Absolutely loved it. I gave it 5 stars. It's my favorite book in this series so far. But I get to start the best book today. Probably here in a minute as soon as I'm done updating you guys. I'm going to start God of Fury today. What can I say? I'm super excited. Sorry, I'm chewing a calcium vitamin. But yeah, I'm starting God of Fury here pretty quickly. And I'm just so giddy, so excited. Doesn't matter that I've read it 6 times in the past 3 months. I adore this book. I adore these characters. And I'm super excited to relive their love story. So, okay, I'm about to get on the interstate. I'll see you guys later.
Understand people's obsession with these types of events. Is it the feeling of grandiosity, the opportunity to walk amongst
Alright, so it is currently the next day. I didn't get a chance to check in last night, but I did finish God of Fury, and I'll do a whole section at the end of the video about this book because I'll have a lot to say, I feel like. But I absolutely love that book so much. It's one of my favorite books of all time now. I absolutely love Nico and Bran so much. I love their love story. I love everything that story just has to tell. I feel like Bran is a very strong character who I very much identified with. I love him so much. And Bran, just the way he loves, or Nico, the way he loves Bran is just everything. So I absolutely love that book, but I'll go more into that later. So obviously that's a 5-star, it's a 6-star Infinity Star book, whatever you want to call it. But I did start God of War, which is the last book in the Legacy of God series. And we're following Eli and Ava. So this book is very intriguing to me because we had sprinkles of Eli throughout throughout all the other books, but we never really got to see him. At least I don't think. We never really got to know him. We never really got to talk to him very much. So it's just very interesting that we're like following a character that we don't really know, and that's intriguing. It just is. But Ava, we do know. We've seen her quite a bit throughout the series, and I didn't know how I was going to feel about this book going into it because like Ava wasn't the most likable character to me, and like I said, don't know anything about Eli, so I wasn't really invested in their story. But I'm a quarter of the way through, about 25% of the way. Tell me why I'm like foaming at the mouth. Because like I don't know, like just this is like a real legit enemies to lovers type of dynamic. I feel like our other dynamics have been more like I guess there's all technically enemies to lovers, but like there's an element of them not giving the guys the benefit of the doubt, I feel like. And Ava is just not having it. There's a lot of history here, and it's very hard to read. The major incident that caused her to hate him so much, like, I was cringing hard. Like, that was hard to read. I would have been mortified if I was Ava, so I totally understand where she's coming from. But yeah, and Eli is like very domineering, very possessive in a more colder fashion than the other guys have been. So that's quite a dynamic change. I feel like the guys, for the most part, in all the other books, have been more persistent in their in the pursuit of these women, but Eli just, I don't know what his motive is. I really don't. Like, we're still very much in the dark about a lot of things. So I'm gonna get back to reading. I'm going to try and finish this today because I would like to get this vlog up this week. But I'm having the best time with this series. Like, it's been a journey. I've been reading all the books this whole week, and it's just been a crazy time. But I'm having a blast. Like, I love dark romance so much because I love the unhinged stuff that comes out of it. But yeah, I'm gonna get back to reading, and I will check in with you guys when I feel the need to. I'm tearing up because I'm 160 pages in. That was really sweet. Like, surprisingly, for dark romance, you don't usually get these sweet moments, but this was really sweet. God, I'm a simp. I'm really liking this book quite a bit. Okay, going back to reading. I just finished God of War. I don't know what to do with myself now. Like, literally, this series has been my life for the last week. I've read 6 books in 1 week. And I am genuinely sad that I'm done. And I'm actually, like, I'll talk more about God of War tomorrow, but like, that book was a lot more heartbreaking than I thought it was going to be, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. The second half of this series is definitely a lot stronger than the first half, but wow, I'm impressed. I really loved this series. It has its flaws, absolutely. I'm not going to deny that in the slightest. But I definitely really enjoyed my time with these characters. And of course, like, Nico and Bran are like, they're never going away. I'll be rereading that book so many times in my lifetime. But yeah, now I know, and now I can say I've read Legacy of Gods. So I'll talk to you guys again when I have more coherent thoughts. But I am sad that this journey is over. But we do have more Rena Kent in the future, so that's always exciting. So I'm gonna go. I'll see you guys with the wrap up. All right, so we've come to the end of our Legacy of Gods journey, which is pretty crazy to say, honestly. It's been a week since I started this vlog. It's currently July 1st. And yeah, we read all 6 books. I do want to say, in this time, I did also read Beautiful Venom, which is the first book in the Viper series? Question mark. But this is a spinoff of Legacy of Gods, so I wanted to go ahead and talk about it here. I give this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It's a hockey romance series. Some characters are like loosely related to other characters that are characters in Legacy of Gods. But this is dark. There are some darker aspects to this that aren't necessarily present in Legacy of Gods. So read your trigger warnings before going into all of these books, obviously. But I did really enjoy this. And the setup for the next 2 books, yeah, I'm here for it. The next book, Sweet Venom, comes out in December, I believe. And then the last book, I don't know what's called, comes out in February, I want to say, question mark, I don't know. But anyway, I'm excited to keep going in this part of the Reaniverse. I might go back and read some of the older ones, but to be quite honest, I'm not that invested in those stories. But I digress. I really enjoyed this. But yeah, go with your trigger warnings. Gave this 4 stars. So let's talk about the series proper. I'm going to go through each book and give you my spoiler-free thoughts. And at the end, I will rank all the books. And then we'll wrap up this journey. So let's go ahead and get to God of Malice. So book 1, God of Malice, follows Glenn and Killian. And I gave this one 3 stars. I still stand by that rating. And I do think this is my least favorite Rena Kent book I have read. It is the darkest one out of the Legacy of Gods. There's no doubt about that. But I think that was part to its detriment. Killian as a love interest, I couldn't connect with him. Since I did read God of Fury before this, I knew who he was. I knew that he had some personality disorders and whatnot, but he was just too closed off, in my opinion. So I didn't really buy Glenn's fascination and infatuation with Killian, and I didn't necessarily buy their romance. But I still enjoyed myself with this one, and I do think it was a decent start to the series. The side characters are always going to be the star in this one because I do like all the other characters a lot more than Killian. So I give this one 3 stars. And then we have book 2, God of Pain, which follows Cray and Annika. And this was a big step up from God of Malice, in my opinion. I enjoyed Cray as a character much more than Killian. He has his own issues. He's a lot more quiet and reserved. The thing about all these Rena Kent love interests is they all kind of have the same closed off vibe to them, which I guess is to be expected. Nikolai is probably the exception here. But they all kind of have the same formula, but they're just mixed differently. And I feel like Cray he is definitely a very dominant person. This did feel kind of 50 Shades of Grey-esque, because this does have more like a Dom sub type of dynamic going on. They all kind of do, honestly, but this one is the most explicit in terms of like being a Dom or a sub. And I thought that was a pretty interesting aspect to the story. I really loved Annika. I thought she was a great female character. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Like, I enjoyed myself with this one. Big step up from God of Malice, that's for sure. And then we have God of Wrath, which follows Cecily and Jeremy. And I really liked this one. I give this one 4.5 stars. It just kept getting better as the series goes on. And I really enjoyed myself. Jeremy, I really liked him as a main character. You don't really get much from him in the first 2 books. I really like Cecily. She's a nerdy girl. She loves anime. She loves pop culture stuff. Like, I really enjoyed her, and I thought her and Jeremy's dynamic was very interesting to read. This one had more of a primal type of feel to it, which I also really enjoyed. And yeah, I don't know what to say about these books. I don't want to give too much away, but like the plot in this one I thought was kind of weak, but I think the romance and the characters really kept me engaged with what was happening. So I really enjoyed this one, and it was a great addition. All right, and then we got book 4, God of Ruin, and this one surprised me because this one follows Landon and Mia, and I was worried about this because prior to this, and honestly, kind of since then, Landon has kind of been like a pain in the ass, to put it lightly. He really loves to push people's buttons and he loves to cause problems. And so I wasn't sure how I would feel about reading about him and him falling in love because that's just, I don't know. He just didn't seem like a very intriguing character to read. But call me surprised because I gave this 5 stars. Mia, I really loved Mia. She was fantastic. Very strong willed, which I really appreciated. And her story is so tragic. But their dynamic, Landon and Mia, are amazing. I really loved reading how, like, I felt this to my core. Landon just became so obsessed with her. And granted, I mean, they all become obsessed with their love interests. But I don't know, it just felt different this time. Like, he was just completely obsessed with her. And Mia, she gradually fell in love with him. And, like, just the way they started and the way, like, all the drama came about was just very fun to read. And one of my favorite books in this series. I loved it. And then let's talk about God of Fury. God of Fury is everything to me. I love this book. It follows Nikolai. It follows Brandon. I've talked about this multiple times throughout the video. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I don't ever shut up about this book. Brandon and Nikolai's romance is so stunning, so beautiful to read. And that might be an unpopular opinion among other LGBTQ people. I don't know. But I bought it. I fell for it. I loved it. Nikolai just loves Brandon so much. It just ripped my heart out into a million pieces. And I don't know, I just loved reading about them. Like, and I felt very kindred spirits to Bran. He was a very relatable character to me. I understood his motivations, and why he was so scared to, you know, accept this relationship with Nikolai. And it was the moments where, like, he really embraces himself were so beautiful to read. Like, this healed some parts of me, honestly. Not to get too dramatic, but, like, I absolutely adored this book. I've read it 7 times, and I will be reading it so many more times in my lifetime. But yeah, just everything about this book just speaks to me on such a personal level. I enjoy this book. 1,000,000 stars. Best book Rena Kent's written that I've read. Best book in the Legacy of God series. So spoiler alert, this is number 1. All right, and then we have book 6, God of War, which follows Eli and Ava. So I wasn't sure exactly how I was going to feel going into this book because we don't really get a ton of Eli throughout the series. I didn't really know him. I didn't really get a vibe for him. Ava's all over the place, so I kind of knew what to expect with her. But even this hurt me. This book was heartbreaking for me to read. I give it 5 stars. I thought it was so great. This is a marriage and convenience ? Story. And I haven't really read those before. I've read arranged marriage and whatnot, but not like marriage and convenience exactly. But this one really was, it was heartbreaking in a lot of different ways. And I thought Eli's love for Ava was just so wonderful. It took a while for us to really get there and see his side of things. But once those moments hit, they were so satisfying. This book was very satisfying. I enjoyed it so much. It's Other than God of Fury, this book is the only one in this series to make me cry. Just because, like I said, there are very heartbreaking moments in here. But I absolutely loved it. So 5 stars for this one. All right, so before we wrap everything up, we're going to do a quick ranking. At the bottom, we got God of Malice. Gave it 3 stars. Liked it, but was not that impressed with it. Next, God of Pain. Better, but not exactly my cup of tea. Really like the characters though. Next, God of Wrath. 4.5 stars. Big step up. Really love the romance. The plot was a little lacking for me in this one. Next, God of Ruin. Absolutely loved it. Landon and Mia really surprised me, and I have to give it props for that, and I really love their relationship. 5 stars. Next, God of War. 5 stars, like I just said. Heartbreaking. One of the most heartbreaking books in this series, and I really loved Eli and Ava's dynamic. And then we're not shocked. And we're not shocked. God of Fury. Goals. Amazing. A million stars. Infinity. Love it. Bran and Nikolai are everything. And that's it. This is my ranking. So I want to thank you guys for going on this Legacy of Gods journey with me. If you do end up reading this series, I would really love to know your thoughts down below. If you are going to spoil things, make sure there's ample warning in your message or in your comment. And yeah, I am going to miss these characters. There's a lot more in this universe coming, obviously, but we're not following these characters anymore. So it's just a little sad, even though I only spent a week with them, really. But I became kind of attached. I don't know, like when you're in the world for so long, it's kind of hard to let it go once it's all done. But I enjoyed myself with this series. I do recommend it. Like if you're a dark romance reader, I do recommend it. Trigger warnings, for the love of God, read your trigger warnings, keep yourself safe, and don't cause yourself any harm. It's not worth it for that. But I do really love this series, and I'm so happy I finally got to read it. I've been wanting to read it for a long time. And I do also want to say, the Viper series, I think is going to be fantastic. And Kiss the Villain, which is a spinoff of this as well, is also very great. I'm re-listening to it right now, actually, and I'm having so much fun with it. I'm liking a lot more this time around than I did the first time, so that's really good. And I guess that's all I'm going to say here. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope I have some more content coming for you. I don't know. We'll see. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!